Well, I want you to know that Project Read is dedicated to developing active, thoughtful, purposeful readers. And we believe so deep that all children can learn. Now, I'm going to take you to the basic premise of Project Read. And you know, I was really inspired by the dictionary. Every time I open up the dictionary, I'm reminded that every single word in this dictionary, from the first word to the last one that will ever be placed there, was put together with just these 26 letters. I mean, when you think about that, it just almost takes your breath away. And these 26 letters, they were created for only one purpose, and that was to capture the sounds of our language. And can you believe it? We only have 44 speech sounds in our language. And these 44 speech sounds I have represented with licorice nips. Some are red and some are green, because the two sounds of our language are consonant sounds and vowel sounds. That's the foundation. Every learner needs to have an opportunity to understand that knowledge and be able to use it. And what our challenge is to develop curriculum strategies that will pull out and enhance their learning profile. So they have to have strategies that respond to the way they learn. And remember, forever, this is the only way words will be put together. The problem with this is, now when you know the sounds and symbols, you know how to unlock a word. But reading isn't just pronouncing the word. And so we have to take decoding and have them understand the vocabulary, because words have meaning only when they're put into sentences. And you see three little tools there, because one of the principles of Project Read is always take abstract concepts and make them meaningful, concrete and meaningful within the learner's background experience. So we can tap out sounds, we can divide words into syllables, and sometimes we unlock a word just from the context clues. But we said reading wasn't just pronouncing and understanding the word. You have to understand the text. And there are two primary types of reading material: stories, narratives, and expository or report form strategies. You know, stories are about life experiences, and reports or expository stories give us facts about the real people, places, and things in our world. Now, that's reading. But to be literate, you also have to be able to take that knowledge and be able to express your thoughts, both orally and with written language. So we want them to really understand the sentence. Of course, understanding the sentence is part of that reading comprehension. But we also want them to understand how each word is used within that sentence, because it all fits together. You see these circles interlock? Because text are sentences that are woven together with a central theme. And we want to be sure that our children have the ability. We know they have the ability. We want to give them the strategies to allow them to be these comprehensive readers. Now, I've already talked pretty much about these principles of instruction. Direct concept teaching. We're going to make that what? Concrete and meaningful. Here are the sounds. We're going to use that hammer. We're going to use that psalm. We're going to use a lot of body language. And how are we going to teach these skills at random? Just when they pop up in a story? Oh, no, no. We're going to do it in logic links. We're going to go from the most frequent sound to the least frequent. We're going to really have them see that there are concepts that are dependent on one another. So it's a very structured, sequential order in which we are going to teach. But here's one of the key things. Because remember, we want to teach your child according to your child's learning style. And some students are very strong visual learners, and some are very weak visual learners. This is really what happened that your youngster qualified for special education because they had a processing disorder, either in visual, auditory. That's a really common one. Auditory processing. They hear it, but they don't discriminate it. They can't keep it up here, so they can't retrieve it. And we have a lot of youngsters with language order disabilities. They can't find those words they need. They can't organize their what has come into their head. So how do we compensate for visual and auditory processing? Tactile, touching, but also what do we do for the child who has a auditory processing, body language, signing, because that will help them interpret and retrieve. I also want you to know that so many of these youngsters who get frustrated as they work so hard to learn and then they aren't successful like we know they should be, so they develop attentional deficit disorders. And these strategies, this direct instruction, is going to help accommodate that. And of course, we want to integrate and apply.